All right. Well, hello, 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 hello. And Miss Jackie Blue pops into the chat with her own hello. Janet,
Hello. How are you?
I am fine. How was your day? How was you? We've been together all weekend. I mean, you've been part of the family. You're always part of the family on weekends. What am I saying? No. How was? I guess I could say how was your day so far? How was your week so far?
Well, I didn't sleep very good last night. My allergies are really bad, but and plus I went to bed late after I was playing yesterday, so I was tired. But I'm feeling pretty good, I guess, besides my allergies.
Yeah, except for the allergies. And I kind of figured that would happen
Hmm.
because over here they're not taking their foot off the gas. The allergies are horrible here. So
Yeah, it sucks.
we just finished watching a little private project movie. It's a documentary called "The Secrets of Blackmoor."
Hmm.
It's about Dave Arneson, one of the creators of Dungeons and Dragons, and it's from mostly his perspective or his family's perspective and people that were around him in the late 70s, mid to late 70s. It kind of cuts off around 78 and it fast forwards to, now they're still playing the same game. They're still enjoying each other. Dave's gone. He died in 2009 and that's very sad. You could see his daughter in this movie. She's got an immense amount of pride for what her daddy's done.
Yeah,
And
you can tell.
it's not a movie that's got a it's a documentary. It's definitely a documentary, and if you want to know more about this hobby, it's one of those things that I do recommend you see. There is another movie on a flip side called "The Dreams in Gary's Basement," and it's from Gary's perspective. Gary and Dave died about a year apart from each other, or less than a year apart, and they created the hobby based out of just love of wargaming. And Arneson was more from the realm of miniatures. As a teenager, he had a whole bunch of minis like what I've got, but he had like Russian miniatures. He had the largest Russian army for their Napoleonics local group, and that was his thing. He really liked that, and then he started getting all these people together. He searched them out because there was a gaming magazine that had a little help wanted section in the back or find your friend in the back. And I felt kind of verified, like, I'm not a stalker, but I've done this before where I've, looked in the back of a magazine or I've looked in an index, or comment section, and I've tracked somebody down that has shared interests as I do. And I've had conversations and friendships develop out of that.
Hmm.
You're like, man, that's kind of scary. That, no, this is how we would use this. We were looking for a connection, we found it. And that's what they did. They banded together based on their love of Avalon Hill games, and later they grew into something much bigger, which I am thoroughly impressed by. I I have a lot of respect for what Dave did in the Twin Cities area. I did not realize that the Twin Cities, Minnesota, is where I would be thinking there would be a gaming mecca. I never thought that. That this movie taught me that tonight or today. Janet, um, we're within the first half hour of us watching the ending credits of this movie.
Hmm.
What were your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was very personable. So whoever decided to do this, to make this documentary, it was nice to see the touch of having his daughter in there to give her perspective on her dad, which was she probably ended up being a gamer, but she didn't start out that way. She started out as his daughter. Right. So she got to see another side of him that we didn't, but it came across in the way she talked about him, when she talked about how smart and intelligent he was, and how excited he was to talk about the different things that he was involved in doing, with writing the game and collecting the characters, and just doing stuff like that. I just thought that was I don't know, it just really made me all happy inside. You know, it was like me talking about how I talk about my dad and talk about my mom. So in a way, I kind of could see, was put myself in her shoes type of thing. So I really liked that part of it. Thought that was great. And the fact that people do it all the time. They're on Facebook now, or years ago, I remember, like, in your annual, you're going through your annual from high school, and someone would have their phone number or their address in there with their name, you know, and then you're thinking, I wonder if they still live there. So you maybe try to look them up or things like that. I just thought that was interesting on how he was talking about being at the library, and that he checked that one manual out, and it had been 5 years since someone had checked it out, but he got the name and stuff from that, and that's how he was able to contact one of the people from that group. So I thought that was pretty good. You know, thinking between the lines and using your resources to, and how hard it would be because so few people do that, play that game. So I thought it was really cool. How you
What I
found?
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just happy to see that it portrayed everything through the photographs and the tales, because it went through a lot of players' perspectives, a lot of people that were involved with the Minnesota Military Society Association, whatever the MMSA guys. Like, it showed you them in photos as young men, and classic nerd appearance just hit me. Like, I've seen these guys before. I used to game with these guys.
Hmm.
Gator. Like, we were all pretty happy and proud to be nerds. You know, we didn't mind knowing what THACO meant. We didn't mind knowing things like, we'll rate a fire, stuff like that. And that was something that these guys were exceptionally happy to be able to discuss. They would talk in code better than they talk in social situations. And they even explained that, Dave was kind of a socially awkward guy,
Hmm.
and they go into that, and you get to see a real peek into how all of these factors came together. And without Dungeons and Dragons coming in, they already had their own society, they already had their own thing going, and they might have turned it into a hobby like what it is today. But Gary is the guy that he took, it seemed like, a lot of the culture, and he put it in prose to where it was more of a, you could be replicated.
Hmm.
Hey, Six Nations, 31 Kings, how you doing? You could replicate what was going on in Minnesota with the rules that Gary had, and not that Gary didn't have his own experiment going on,
Hmm.
but but the experiments that these guys are doing in Minnesota with tabletop wargaming and integrating Braunstein, Napoleonics together, and all this integration of just various cobbled together rules from other games. Boy, it sounds real familiar in my perspective. It sounds like at some point that what they had going on, it probably would have taken off.
Hmm.
It probably would have, because there was nothing else at the time doing what this was. There was no other society of wargamers that got famous, that made inroads. Because of this, because of Gen Con, because of Dungeons and Dragons, you had little groups pop up in various colleges and high schools and middle schools where people would march troops against other masses of troops. And Avalon Hill built its entire catalog on the burgeoning popularity of the RPG. Because up to
Hmm.
that point, Avalon Hill was still publishing, but it was just two guys with a big warehouse and a printing company that was in the same warehouse. They kept the print company alive, and they were feeding a niche group of gamers, but they weren't making it big. D&D drew off of the war game community, and that is kind of what made Avalon Hill back in the late 70s, early 80s kind of a big name, because now they had something to copy off of that had a record of viral growth, and that's the only way I could say that back in the late 70s, early 80s, that was a big thing. Like it was even in showcased in ET before Elliot meets ET. His brother and his friends are playing Dungeons and Dragons. And Dave
Yeah, at the
Wall-
dining room table. I remember that.
yeah,
But
and
what another thing though, before I forget, is the fact that I was surprised when they started talking and they were older men. These weren't high school students that started this. These were grown men that had homes and stuff like that. And then when they talked about getting to meet, what was his name? Avalon?
the Avalon Hill guys, yeah, from Dave Wesley.
Yeah, when they were going to get to meet him, and he was a high school kid, and his group were kids, teenagers. So, and the fact that he was that high on intelligence compared to the grown men that had been playing this other game for such a long time, and that he was already at the past their level a little bit in some aspects of the way he thought through things about wanting to be a referee. What was it? Is that what they called them?
Either a referee or a judge.
Yeah, okay. Well, the thing is, so that ended up becoming a dungeon master, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is what it meant. But so the concept of all that, because that shocked me, because I was expecting all of them to be a bunch of kids, teenagers, maybe some college students, but not grown people playing a game. And the dad, he was so adorable when he talked about his son, and he's talking about he's sitting upstairs and he hears yelling, and they're yelling and yelling, and the voices are getting louder. So he just go and open the door to look down in the basement to see what the heck was going on, thinking there might be, fisticuffs or whatever going on. And it's them fighting over little people on a table. I just thought that was just adorable. And I'm so thankful that whoever the people were involved at setting up this whole documentary, they did it from a perspective to get to be able to show the daughter and the father talking about that one person in their life that they saw on a daily basis, during their life, of how he was affected by everything he did when he was trying to create this game. So I just thought that part of it was so personable. So go ahead, you go back to your part. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Keep talking if you have more to shed onto us. That's fine.
Well, that aspect of it is it was a very intricate details on the personal side of him, and the way he thinks about things, and that he was just a hands-on dad. He had a really, really imaginative thought process, and in the detail he went into on all the different things that he wanted to do, simply because he just loved it. He loved bringing things to life. Instead of him being a novelist or a script writer, he wanted to make a game that other people could enjoy and play, and it was immersive, and they could be whatever they wanted to be, a famous person from a battle, that was hundreds of years ago, that type of thing. I just loved it. I thought it just what kid today wasn't a superhero when they were little, that's grown now? When you were a child, what did you want to be? A famous football player, right? Or a famous rock singer. We all dreamed of our wanting to be something we weren't. Somebody that was real popular, someone that was really rich, or someone that had superpowers and they could fly or see through walls. All these things that we dream of as a kid. And that's basically what he was. He was a dreamer. He believed that if we're going to play something, why not make it as realistic as possible without actually having to have it on a big screen? You know what I mean? It would be in your mind, using your imagination, using your mind to grow and see something that you could accomplish things. And how would you accomplish it? That whole concept, that was amazing.
I loved it. I really did. I thought this was a step back in time, a good time capsule, and it shows the impetus needed for the hobby to start.
Mhm.
And that was something that I thought was really important because there's too many times where I'd be at a store talking to people about the game and they don't understand that the game used to be measuring tape and little paper miniature chits, not even metal figurines, just a
Yeah.
little chit on a piece of paper with maybe a letter or number on it, and you push that around on green felt, and that was it. That was your game. And that was, trying to explain that to people and seeing this movie come out, and hopefully more grognards, more people, and I'm not making light of anybody who's new to the hobby, but
Hmm.
more grognards are like, listen, here's a piece of the puzzle that tells you the history of the game. Watch
Yeah.
this. And it's
Hmm.
kind of hard to watch because it's just not really available as widely as I thought it would be. It's
Hmm.
on Amazon. That's about it. There's other ways you can find bits of it. Like YouTube has 7 chapters of it for like 40 minutes. You've got it. But that's it. And aside from that, this is a Hungar. Okay.
But also getting to see when they brought the manuals up, the different ones, and then seeing all of you guys, that I've been hanging out with, all having those books and thumbing through them and talking about stuff in them, even though they're from what the
70s.
1970s.
Yeah.
Okay, and some of them were older than that. There's been a couple other people talking about different things from that other game, Strategos or whatever.
Yeah. Strategos, which was the 1800s
Yeah, and they had
tabletop
books
book.
and manuals and other papers that they'd open and unfold and talk about the different things, the drawings and stuff on those on the war part of it. See, I never was into that. Remember, even when you asked me about playing with you, I said I didn't want to be a warrior. I don't want to have to, have a big battle axe and, know a bunch of sword skills and stuff. I want to heal. I want to be able to be the healer and learn about how to, keep everyone as healthy as possible. So that's what I like to do.
Hungar the Starvarian rolls in with a $2 entry. He doesn't have to give that. You can appreciate you, Hungar. I really do. You don't have to every time you see me. I mean, I do appreciate that. I really do. And I want people to know that if you're looking for funny shirts, this guy's got some great shirts here. This is off this T Public site, and I recommend you guys to check these out because he's just got some fun stuff here. Hungar has things that are fit for your whole gaming family, but not your family at home. The first one you guys can see is that Elon Musk very quotable piece there. He's got this amazing shirt, which is a riff on a Frazetta. He's got my favorite shirt that I have in my own. It's Pepe the Frog is Navigator. It's brilliant. Brilliant. If you like that, if you like this sort of thing, which I think you should, I would hope you do. They're fairly reasonable, $22 plus shipping and handling, but sometimes you get specials on these. I recommend that you guys check out this little site that Hungar has because he's got some amazingly funny stuff. Another Frazetta. I mean, how can you not like that? That's peace, love, and bacon grease right there. And Hungar just smiling the whole time he's jabbing that snake with his sword. Hungar, you didn't have to give me $2. I appreciate you, sir, and I hope your T-shirt sales are going up, 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 because you have some amazingly good T-shirts. I'd like to see Hungar and Janet do a stream one of these days. Did I say
My
that loud?
favorite one is still your one with the big afro hair. That one is
Yeah.
really funny.
That's his high school photo.
Well, he had hair. He had a lot of it too. Really curly. But yeah, I really thought the personal aspect of it was my favorite of this whole documentary. I still don't understand a lot of the intricacies of how they came up with different ways to play the game, and the rules. And they didn't go into a lot of detail about the different dice, which I was hoping they would, because that's one thing I don't understand is who came up with a dice that looks like a triangle. What's the reasoning behind that stuff? I thought that would be really interesting, unless they have another way, because
There,
I
there's
know they.
another there's another movie we'll have to watch called the Dreams in Gary's Basement, and that's about the other creator of Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, I understand it when we're using it and how you would count it and everything like that, and add it to whatever your skill levels are, depending on what skill you're trying to use during the game. I understand that stuff, but it's just the concept of uh, why they use dice. They didn't talk about that, but I know they use dice because they were using it during the whole documentary and different aspects of what they were doing during the game. They just, I guess that wasn't really the story behind it. It was all about the concept of role playing itself and how that whole thing happened. And I thought that was genius, honestly. Not because of simply for the fact of the gentleman that was doing it, or setting up the game and getting them to think about what he was doing, by separating himself as the dungeon master or the referee, or whatever you want to call him, from the players. Okay. And he's bringing them in his room. It's like going to the principal's office, right? You're going to the principal's office, and you have a room in front of the principal's office where the secretary is, with all the kids sitting there that have gotten in trouble on the playground or whatever. And they're all sitting there, and one at a time's going in the office, and the principal's talking to him about, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, and this is what you should have done, or whatever. And all the other kids are sitting there, hey, the next time we get out there, this is what we need to do. They're already in there, thinking about what they're going to do when they get back outside, and then when two of them come in and say they want to duel each other because they're wanting to, have a duel, then he's like, what the hell's going on? You guys aren't dueling. You're on one side of town, the other one's over there. And that's when he realized they're in there talking to each other about things in the game that he didn't want them to talk about. So they, instead of separating them and making them all go to different areas, the guy decides, hey, during the game, I'm going to have to sit in there with them because I don't want them coming up with schemes behind my back and me not know what's going on. And I thought that whole concept was really smart, but it also made the characters work with other characters to be successful in whatever their endeavor was going to be. And I thought that was ingenious, the whole way that all worked out. But you can't stop human nature. Human nature is to want things. We all want a bigger house, more money, a nicer car, a better looking spouse, how we can get them to, take better care of themselves, as exercise or eat better, all these different things. Or you don't have a girlfriend, this guy's going to help you meet women, or whatever. The thing is that you normally want to better things for yourself, more money, whatever it is. And that's what they were doing. They were all sitting around bored, waiting for their turn. So they just started talking to each other, and the whole concept came out about what their jobs were, for the game. And they're like, hey, you're a so-and-so and you're a whatever. Hey, let's get together. We can start our own business, hey, we can make money and we can get big highfalutin captains and pirates to come into our bar and our restaurant, and we can make some extra cash. So that's just normal. That's what people normally do. And the fact that he figured that out during that game, that didn't work each time. He had to work out different kinks, but the whole idea of how that came about, I thought was really, really interesting and cool.
I liked it. I thought this was just completely I don't know, it kind of showed like an organic development of the hobby.
Yeah.
And I hate to call Dave Guy or Gary Gygax like the corporate shill, but whenever him and Dave are talking, there's a lot of times where I've read where Gygax is talking to Arneson. Arneson explains some things going on at the table, and Gary's like, "I'll make rules for this, and we'll sell them for money." And that's kind of every time Dave opened his mouth, that seems like what was Gary's reaction. We can make money on this because Like, I don't know. It doesn't go into what Dave did for a living for money because he wasn't rewarded well from D&D. He did not make a mint off of D&D. He made royalties later, but he made very little money on the wargaming, at least from the TSR side of it. TSR was a company that produced D&D. Um, Gary, it explains in numerous texts or books or movies where Gary was a shoe salesman with a middle school education, and he had very little going for him, but he was really good with numbers. And if you ever study the older books, like it talks about weapon frontage and how to get the best use out of pole arms. And it talked about how Gary had a really good vocabulary, which is why so many gamers from the old days have a really good vocabulary because Gary kind of showed us the way how to do that. And he gave us a whole glossary of stuff. Here's this word, here's what it means, here's this word, here's what it means. And he fed, he made it rewarding to be inquisitive. And that was something that very, very few modern games make you want to delve into something and go whole hog and find out why this game might exist. But Dean, it not only like gave people the hobby being involved with it weekly. You would have you have to get fairly social. You'd have to learn how to negotiate, talk, be diplomatic, but also there were plenty of people I've run across over the course of years where they've changed their entire focus in life.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple guys I know that they decided that their current trajectory wasn't what they wanted, and they were in school at the time. One of them became a meteorologist for the local TV station, and it was because he started studying weather patterns when he was building his own game world, and he figured out
Mm-hmm.
how high pressure and low pressure systems would interact with large mountain ranges. So I'm just putting it out there that your hobby can have a very large effect on your happiness and your life.
And the aspect of listening to some of the people that played the game talking about different things that they found intriguing and fun and what they enjoyed doing during the game. Like the one gentleman was talking about how he developed his own, I think it was his own, not a farm, but some type of business that he was doing, and he was talking about he built a little like a town or a small town around it, his own fort or something like that. And he was even talking about inventing his own money system, and all that stuff. So it makes people think in very, very detailed ways of how they'd go about accomplishing something. If like in one of our games, we have one gentleman that we all went in there and wanted to just kick some ass and kill all the rats, right? We get all the rats killed and stuff, and we sleep and stuff. And then we're thinking about just packing our stuff and leaving. And he's thinking, hey, I want to own this place because this is a great place in between here and our city, and we can stay here. We can do that. And I'm like, well, who's going to guard it? Who's going to keep people from coming and, squatting here or whatever, that type of stuff. So see, it starts a whole new direction that your characters can go into. And that's what's so cool about this type of role-playing game is that you can get married and have your own families, raise cattle, like the one game that we were playing on the other one, where the woman gave us her farm because we helped her daughter and brought her daughter back, her child back to life, and she was thankful. So she gave us her farm, and we carry it around with us, and we go back in there every so often and do stuff there and raise wheat and stuff and make our barley, whatever it is that we're farming to make beer, because that'll drink beer. But you don't know what your possibilities are unless you search your surroundings and dig around and see what's in the mountains or what's in that lake or that awesome looking creek or that cave over there, all that stuff. To me, that all of that is what makes this whole concept of this game exciting to me. It's almost like having a novel, like the never ending story. There is no story. It's whatever's in your imagination that you can make up as you go while you're reading it. And I love that. And I love that all these people that we got to see in this documentary all think that way. And I just thought it made me feel like I wasn't such an odd man out anymore, because there's a lot of people that think, I'm not as intricate at it yet as these people, but I could be one day if I play enough and I try to learn more as I go.
You're
But
well on your way, Janet.
but the thing is, I love thinking about it during the week. I need to work on my new sheet so I can get everything all in one thing, so I'm not having to flip through 15 pages of notes. But things like that. I'm learning a lot, and I just love it. I think about it, and I can't wait till the next week when we get to play the game again. And how many people can say that they're excited about? It's almost like the men saying, I can't wait till Sunday to watch football, or the other people, I can't wait till the bowling night or poker night. To me, it's, I want to play this game. So, you know, but and a lot of people don't believe it when I say, yeah, I play this. And they're like, what? And then I said, well, if you want to see me, I'm playing live. You can come watch. It's boring, and I've had a few sisters drop in and some friends. They just go, okay, but they don't have any idea of it. And some of them some ask questions and some don't. But I love that the details that they went into on all the backstory of how each of them argued over what they wanted and how they wanted it, because that's one thing about people that play these types of games. We're all leaders. Okay. I always thought myself as not a leader. Okay. I always thought of myself as a person that wants to help other people be successful, but I never thought about being out in front. You know what I mean? But during these chance that you've given me to play these games, I'm realizing that I'm not as much of a wuss or a stand behind person as I thought I was, because I'll see something, I'll say, well, that doesn't look, I don't trust this. I don't think we should do this, and I voice my opinion about it, which I normally wouldn't, you know what I mean? So I think it does help build character in people and things. I think it can help people. I think this would be a great way for kids with certain kind of development problems, like attention deficit disorder or whatever it is, and a few others, because it would give them something to focus on, and it's their own individual personality. So it's just like you said, there's no winners and there's no losers, really. And then the two guys were talking about escaping that one castle and holding the doors open for everybody to leave, and it was a valiant death because they knew they were going to die if they held the doors open for others, but they did it anyways. So I just love it. I just think getting to use your imagination, it makes you feel young inside. It helps your mind think of different things that you could possibly do. I'm not saying you could really use it in reality, but if you can keep your mind sharp enough to think quick on your feet, if something did happen, you might be the one person that can make a decision that might change the outcome of your situation, because your mind isn't like sleeping. You're using it.
There's a lot of people that, because of their involvement with various hobbies, they've been a key factor whenever it comes to shit going down, shit going wrong. People were saved. I was just reading earlier today on the Gateway Pundit, which some of you guys don't like Gateway Pundit. That's fine. There's a young man that he was at a Subway, young kid, 20 years old or younger, and he's seeing this guy just harass this young girl, and he's starting to get kind of violent with her. He was a customer. The guy's goes from being a customer to being a thug. And this happened was reported Friday at a local subway station. And viral video footage emerged showing a moment a former high school wrestler and current welder named Gabriel Pizzullo took matters in his own hands when he saw a vicious thug assaulting an innocent female subway employee. So the suspect throws items at her as Pizzullo walks into the sandwich shop. The former wrestler sees what's going on, goes into action, and the suspect starts storming out of the subway. He's like, "I'm not gonna be here. This guy's trying to be a hero. And the wrestler, the welder kid, grabs the thug and takes him down with a hard tackle after he sees this guy physically batter the subway employee. And he continues to pin him to the ground. And the purpose to dude and the police have him help cuff the guy because of this kid's hobbies and his willingness to stick his neck out and risk his own health.
Yeah.
Help put away somebody that probably would have been emboldened by, well, I got away with this at Subway. Let me get away with this somewhere else. No, he went to go see the Popos. So I was pretty happy, and you know this makes me happy. Now, if this was in NYC, it would have probably been they would arrest the wrestler, and then they pat the evildoer on the head and give him an Oreo cookie, and the Oreo cookie is punched. You know,
yeah, it's like that nowadays.
But that's not NYC.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me happy to read this. I've read other stories where war gamers or paintballers spring into action because of their hobbies. They're able to do something because of their quick thinking and their ability to just say, no, we're not going to let this happen right here where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think everybody has that opportunity to do that. I mean, Angry Cops, one of my favorite YouTubers, he said within the last 2 months, he's like, if you see a cop that's struggling with a suspect and, you know, not getting involved and watching the cop get shot or, you know, the guy, the evildoer get away, you know, instead get involved with it, help the cop out and render assistance to him and try to secure the situation, because otherwise, you know, you're going to have more lawlessness in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather see you, you know, come away with bruises and cuts and scrapes than have your neighborhood go to shit and you have to move because, you know, there's too many people in your neighborhood that are willing to do bad things to your wife and kids. You know, and plus the fact that cops going to be awful fucking happy that somebody in the neighborhood actually values their fucking business, because a lot of cops, they don't feel like they're liked by the public. They feel like they are tolerated at best. They're only needed whenever somebody with a gun's there.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that sucks. You know, I'm not a real big fan of police my own self, but that's just because of the fact that, like, in San Antonio, we've got a lot of problems and they continue to walk the streets, and we have a DA that's a piece of shit. I mean, to the point where our local Democrat sheriff has distanced himself from the DA. The DA has gotten too many of these thugs released within like a half hour of their admittance to the jail.
Well, that's up to the people. The people have got to step up and say, you know, you guys suck and we're going to vote all you out.
Well,
and once you
coming.
do that, maybe then something will change. Just like I'm always bitching and moaning that, you know, we got to have take our towns back. You know, we got to take our school boards back. We got to take our cities back, and then we'll take our states, you know, if we do that. But it's all grassroots. We all have to do it from our towns. That's the only way to make a difference. And the only way to change the federal government is by changing our states, getting our states back. Even though people say, oh, my state's red, my state's red. You know, we're already conservative. And we'll say, well, your cities aren't.
Yeah.
And pretty much your one city can outvote your whole state when it comes to the population wise. And people don't think about it that way for some reason. They just say, oh, see, the whole state's red, but they got a Democrat governor, you know, that sucks, that they bitch about all the time. And I'm like, see, you know, the only way to win is by you and your brothers and sisters and your people you work with taking back your towns. And, you know, it won't take long, because if you don't fight for what you have, you're going to lose it. And you're going to be out in the street. But that's what I liked about all these people. They seemed like the dad, the one comment when the dad was talking about them being all these grown men and some of those teenagers, right, sitting in the basement down there. And every so often he'd hear arguing going on. So he'd open the door and look down there and see these little figurines on the table and stuff, and like going, why aren't they just go out and get a job, stuff like that. And we have that now. We have a lot of people that had to end up moving back in with their parents because they can't afford the high gas and the electric bills and the car payments and all the stuff because they can't make enough money. I mean, heck, they're shutting down fast food restaurants left and right in California because they just raised the minimum wage to $20 an hour. So just think about it. It takes 2 or 3 restaurants to close, and you can't go to McDonald's or Taco Bell or any of these places anymore because there's no one to work there. And then they wonder, well, we're losing all of our jobs to these automatic tellers and automatic machines and stuff like that to take the orders. Well, that's because they're pricing everything out of existence. What was the name of that movie that had Sylvester Stallone and all the restaurants were Taco Bell? Remember that?
Demolition Man.
Yeah, Demolition Man. That's where we're headed. We are heading down that road because people don't want to bitch and moan that they're having to pay somebody $20 an hour. Well, they need the money. Well, if there's no job, they're not going to make $20 an hour because all the businesses are closing. And then the other ones that are open, they have to lock everything up all the way down to eye drops because people just walk in, take it off the shelf and go outside with it anyways. It's nuts. I mean, all of this stuff is nuts. And I would like to take some of these guys that do some of these games and put them into office, because I think a group of these guys could take a town and whip it back into shape. I mean, all the way down to the budget.
Janet, that's just common sense. Stop that.
I know, but wouldn't that be awesome? That would be a great show, a TV series, to do a documentary series for a whole year, okay, and do like 9 episodes and just have a group of people like that, or get two groups to compete against each other and give them their own town and let them run it. A town that's failing with restaurants and little stores and everything, and then let them go in using these tactics from these games and see if they could.
At 4 a.m., we will have the
Yeah,
vans. The vans will pull up to Town Blue at 4 a.m. and they will unload the duffel bags with the uncounted, unmarked dollar bills and $5 bills to keep Town Blue afloat. Because we cannot let Town Blue sink. We must show Town Red that Town Red is wrong, and they need to embrace everything. Diversity is their strength. Eat the bugs.
Yep, that's exactly how I feel, though.
I would love to see it myself. We were talking.
That would be a great series. I wish I had the means. I wish I had the money and the means and the know-of-all, to be able to do it, to get a hold of some people and say, here's a great reality series right here. Let's try it and see what happens. I mean, look, you had, what was her name? The blonde little bimbo and her best friend, and they took them to a hillbilly town and dropped them off, and they shopped at Walmart, and they were like, what? What's a Walmart? What's those?
Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie.
Yeah, that show. And it was a hit, wasn't it? I didn't watch it, but other people were talking about it.
I don't know. All I remember is Paris Hilton was on it, and I just seen her in a bad movie.
So it's like, if that can make a reality series out of that, why couldn't they do something like this? It can't be that expensive. The most expensive thing would be to find 2 towns. But I can tell you right now, if you drive through Oklahoma and Arkansas, and even in Texas, I'm sure you can find 2 rundown towns and say, hey, we'll come in and we're going to do this, that, and the other and fix up your town, or try to.
Smiley, Texas. If I win the Powerball, I will buy Smiley, Texas, and I will put up plenty of housing on 1 acre lots for my gaming friends, and then we will have an area up to the side where the farm will be. The farm is defined as 17 beehives, and we will have no, not 70 beehives. I don't want to die. Okay. So we will have an area that we will have to purchase on the other side of Smiley, Texas, for the beehives, and we'll have to have somebody that knows what they're doing in order to make sure that the hornets do not get too close to the bees. If the hornets get too close to the bees, then there is no beehive. But the farm, we are in it make mead. Yes.
And
Sorry.
another thing that I really loved about it was the fact that when they kept going back and forth into the with the photographs and the I guess old footage of movie footage, 8 millimeter or whatever it was,
Yes.
and they were showing the little cubicles and stuff and the shelves with all the little uh, figurines
Containers,
on it.
miniatures.
And then behind a
And
couple of the guys that were being interviewed, and you could see a mountain of them, like your table right there, with all, and then they're painting and doing all this stuff. I was like, Jesus, we fit right into this whole group. We could just walk in and we'd all feel like, and sit down and feel like we belong there. I thought that was super neat because how often do you get that? You don't, you know? And I've never gotten to go the TV show, The Big Bang Theory, when they would go to that, not the comic book store, but the other one where they would play games and they had tables sitting out and people could sit and open up the stuff and set their game up and play and have their friends meet them there. You know, I thought that was cool. I would love to go to a real place like that. You know,
well,
just
that's kind of
when,
funny, Janet, because you will in October when you come down and see us when we go see Gina Carano.
and they're
One of the
going to
things,
have that at this sci-fi con.
not at the Sci-Fi Con, we got to drive to the other side of town to Blanco Road. Night Watch Games is going to be there, and that's according to the 2019 Gamma Trade Association show, that is the number one retailer for games in the world.
Well, the place that I got my one of my figures that I'm gonna paint whenever my lights come in, which haven't, I'm gonna have to call them, I guess. It's been 2 months, a little over 2 months. But they said that the shipping stuff is really messed up right now because of the economy and stuff. So I was like, oh, this sucks. But they have everything in there. They have like comic books, they have little figurines, they have um, uh, all kinds of models that you can paint from different TV shows, Doctor Who, Star Wars, just tons of stuff. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I could spend hours in there. What the bad thing is, I always go with someone that isn't into that. So you feel like they're looking over your shoulder, breathing down your neck to get you to hurry. So you go through it. Wow, that's the people that are going to be there. That
This is the
group.
store that they have another store next door that sells all the outfits. The
Mhm.
Sanctuary sells all the outfits. It's their clothing store, and the gaming store is where you've got all the table space here, and you've got some retail over here. This is rated the number one gaming store in the world according to the 2019 Gamma Trade Association.
And not everybody plays DD. They play like
They're
Trivial
playing
Pursuit.
Magic. They're playing
Oh,
Magic or board
okay.
game.
Yeah.
They have see. Oh, they've got their own game coming out called Gauntlets of Glory. They have
That's
a
cool.
scullery there, so if you're hungry, I mean it's a little bit pricey, but it's food. It's better food than what you're going to get at McDonald's. I'll say that much.
Yeah, so I went to the Star Trek experience. I went like 4 times. Every time I went to Vegas, and they had Quirk's Bar, and you could get all kinds of like Romulan ale and all these really cool drinks. People are dressed up in costumes and stuff, and food. Like you're sitting in a ship. It was cool. So I love all that junk. I can't help it. It's just,
The,
and I did it by myself because nobody wanted to go with me. So I always went alone. Spent 8 hours there by myself. So, oh well.
yeah, Night Watch Games is really nice. They have their online calendar,
Mhm.
so you can schedule a game there. Ladies' night, Thursday night. Every other Thursday night, they have ladies' night. So there's like 30 or 40 women that are there. Some married,
I
most
wonder what they do. Do they have
board
specials
games.
or something?
They
No,
have
I
board
mean,
games for ladies' night. They play either board games or they have a few ladies that start up their own war league, their own either Warhammer or D&D league.
mhm, that's cool.
6 p.m. on Wednesdays is Cyberpunk Combat Zone. They have casual board game night Wednesdays too. Tuesday night Magic Gathering Commander decks. When I see nerds, that's nerds. This is Like I said, it's the best game store in the world. They have some private rooms that are really nicely decorated. I've donated figurines to Tom's Bunker. Tom was their master painter they had. He died a couple years ago. He taught me a lot about brushwork and how to get flow control right. Guy's throwing on Saturday. Yeah, he's sorely missed. But here's something I noticed: these old guard gamers, they regularly bathe. The worst thing is that sometimes the younger kids, they don't have a value on bathing. Their single mom raising didn't help them out much, and so they don't bathe. You have to fucking have some grognard like myself give you a Febreze bath or Febreze bomb go off right where you're at. I've emptied an entire bottle of Febreze on Russ once when Russ and Rick came over to Just for Fun in Peoria. Donald was there when I did that, and I just fucking saturated these two at a table because they were nasty as shit. And the owner's like, "You want to have fun, Bruce? What do you got?" He's like, "Use this." All the game stores out here play card games or board games and miniatures. No RPGs anymore. Well, we've got 3 private rooms at Night Watch Games. I'm not affiliated with them. I just love them to pieces because Brenda and Pork are just amazing people. Sorry, Gal, I smell like shit. Yeah, I can't go in there after a day at work. I could. I'm not staying.
So they actually have someone that tells you you stink, you can't come in.
Most game stores should have that. Should.
So, what's just
So,
wondering. Yeah, I'm thankful that you let me you got me to watch this because now it gives me a little bit more understanding when I go to some of the other platforms that talk about gaming and writing their own games. And a lot of the things that they talked about was the rules, the different rules. That was one of the things that most of them argued about was because they said, well, you can't do that, or you shouldn't be able to kill me off with one thing, that happens, that type of thing. And I hear lots of people, we argue about those in our games. Or people get mad because they're almost dead, because they thought they were more strong than they were, and that their way of fighting isn't as effective against these types of creatures as they thought they would be. So, just little things like that. And they get mad at the dungeon master because I think the dungeon master is not fair. So it's like, well, he's pissed off at everybody. He just wants everybody to die and start over or something. I don't know. But yeah, because you got real personalities involved, and that's why the game will always be different. Even if someone was to if we were to buy a game and play it, and hundreds of other people bought the same game and play it, the games would be different. Every single one of them would be different because you have different people playing every game, and their personality gets mixed in there, and it changes the way things go. And your roles change everything too. Because I might roll really good and be able to fight someone, but as soon as I roll my battle stuff to see how much damage I do, I get nothing. So, I miss every time because I suck at rolling certain dice for some reason. They just don't like me. So the outcome is going to always be different. And that's another thing I like about it, because it's, more factual, because not everyone wins every time in real life. I like that concept. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Just enjoying.
I didn't know if I lost service or whatever.
You've completely like my mission is accomplished. I did what I was supposed to. I have introduced somebody into the hobby. I've got a new good ambassador for the hobby in Janet, because she can tell people that she plays these games. Hey, Kronos, take care of yourself, buddy.
Bye. And the thing is too, that reminds me of something. When the one gentleman that was interviewed them, and they were asking them about the game, and what they got out of the game. And when you try to sit and explain the game to someone who doesn't know what it is, they all sounded the same. They all have to, they put themselves as the person. Like when I said, well, I'm a half elf, half human cleric, and this is what I do, and this is what I got, and I do this, that, and the other, and you start telling them about it, and that's, you put yourself in the position of the character, because it's you, it's, you are the character, you are whatever it is that's going on in that game, and all the decisions are made by someone, because it's you, it really is you, it's your personality that's doing it, even though you're not, may not be human, and you can fly and you can do all these things, but it's your personality that's in there. And that's why I thought was really cute when they interviewed everyone, and everyone had the different character, but they all said it the same way. They put it themselves and said it like they were the actual person playing, doing whatever it was that they were explaining about how to play Dungeons and Dragons, because there really is no rules, just like they said. And I think the concept is genius. And I wish more people could play it, because I think it would help a lot of people, with everyday things in their lives, to feel like they have a sense of accomplishment of something, even if it's not reality. Gives you the tools you need in case you ever are in a situation where you need to come up with something really quickly and you're fast thinking on your feet. And, I think it would help.
Not bad. I just feel like I've succeeded on something. Like, I was supposed to bring somebody into the hobby that wanted to be brought into the hobby. She's a good ambassador for the hobby itself. You are. You're very. Once you've experienced something, you are very well spoken about it. If you had a negative or positive experience, people get that idea very quickly with your words and actions about it. Um, you're the type of gamer that more game stores should have within and be attending games in person. I hate to say that you're stuck online with me for right now, but any game store I've ever been to, the game store owner would have absolutely just thought you were a peach, just thought you were great, because it's hard to find women that want to go to a game store. I mean, much like the same way it's hard to find women that are willing to keep a fucking account on Twitter. But there you are. You're like,
well, I know I have lots of friends that are women on Twitter.
But the thing is that, like, as far as the hobby is concerned, like, it would be great to have someone like you at a game store to just like be that person to be the face for
the game store is my casino, and I don't need to go in there very often because I can spend money in there. That's a bad thing. If you look around my office, you'd like, what the, normal person that would come in and would look around and say, oh my God, look at the person. They're so eclectic. Get so much stuff, because nothing goes together. Like I got 2 cardboard cutouts, one of Hugh Jackman and one of the dishwashing guy. I can't remember what his name is. Just I got just so much stuff because I worked on a promo, and they were standing next to me while I was talking about a product or whatever. So I kept it. But I've got tons of stuff like that. Giant boxes of cereal that are huge, like that. So I stand by it. I'll look like I'm a little person, stuff like that. From different promos, I keep all that stuff. I get to keep it, take it home with me. And, maybe one day someone might want it or whatever. But to me right now, it's just cool to have it. And I want to keep my stuff. I got tons of junk. But because to other people it's junk, but to me it isn't. Because remember, we grew up with our parents and they'd have all this weird stuff, like your mom might have one of those clocks where the eyeballs go back and forth, on the cat, or whatever. We wish we had it now because it'd probably be worth some money, as a collectible or whatever. But like I got the a whole bunches of comic books that are autographed by the cartoonist or the writer. Just depends on what you're you're addicted to. So what you're going to spend your money on. But we can spend money, just a nerd can spend money on all this stuff, just like someone going to the casino and is putting money in a slot machine. It's the same. Honestly, it's the same thing, unless you're doing something with it. But at least when I leave my casino, I have something. I got something I'm taking home to do or to play with or to read. Like when I bought those comics, the series of the Midnight Suns. It's a
Mhm.
6-issue series. I have some that have never been opened, and then I had to have another one because I actually read my comic books and I can read them, go through them, look at the poster in the middle, whatever. And then I have one that's not never going to be opened, just to have. It's a collectible, and I have other things for Star Wars and stuff up on the shelves and stuff that have never been opened. From the Mandalorian, and stuff like that. So, just all of us are different. And some of them I got, when I was a kid, so they don't have a box or anything. I just have the characters, like the karate chop Robin. And Batman does this, when he squeezes his legs together, stuff
You
like
have
that.
the superpowers, Robin.
I have the one where he did the karate chop and he's wearing the one from the TV series outfit. Yeah, I have that. So I'll have to show off some of my stuff someday. But I got lots of junk. I just love it. But I play with it. I look at it and I touch it and I move it around and I dust it and all that stuff. And I show it to people when they come over if they're interested in seeing stuff. But not everybody's interested. But it makes me happy, and that's to me that's what it's supposed to do.
That's what matters.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm only getting 5 characters done a week on my table, and I'm about ready to trying to get 5 characters done a week, and that's where I'm at with this. I just made a mistake. I just bought a whole bunch of new characters that I didn't really need these, but
what are the characters for, though? I mean, what are you going to use them for?
Well, the skeletons I'm going to use is just main fodder.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like regular crap characters, fodder characters. Then I got some man-at-arms types right here. I got these skeletons that Reaper's selling these for like 3 for $10, and that's pretty good. The only bad thing is the package was huge. Like, it was the size of a Star Wars 3 1/4 or 3 3/4 inch figure, and they don't need to be that big. I just need something to hold these 3 figures in a plastic sealed case, and that's it. And the package was huge. I don't know why. Then I've got this Town Brawl here, which I saw this and I'm just laughing at because I don't know if you can see this yet. Come on, camera. Do what I pay for. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But you got a Brawl here with this fig, and I love that. I'm like, yeah, I got to get that. And this looks like they just recently printed it because you can still see the vertical lines of resin there. This one here requires some cleaning. I'll just say that. I still got to do my mini stompas that Crafting Gamer gave me.
Mm-hmm. Some more of those barrels.
Yeah.
That attack.
Would be orcish, but no. But I'm trying to get rid of this area here first underneath my hand so I can make this clear. So I also got these 3 Goristos. I love these. I love these character figs. I saw that somebody had painted these online to be like the Hell Knights off of the old Doom game.
Oh yeah.
And these things are fragging huge. I'm like, okay, I could see.
Are they made out of the same stuff? Because they look
plastic. They're
yeah,
plastic.
I was gonna say they look like they wiggled a little bit when you picked them up, so I thought maybe they were rubbery.
Oh, if they were rubber like the old WWF figures, that'd be great. But I got 3 of these. I can't wait to unleash them on the party. Oh wait, did I say that loud? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Which one? Give me a heads up. No, I was kidding. But yeah, I think they're pretty gruesome. They're gonna be nice and scary. Like that one dragon. That was pretty nice. The blue dragon. I think it was the blue dragon.
I got this.
That one's pretty nice.
I saw it and I'm like, I just thought of Bill because Bill was a friend of mine. He died and he was murdered in '98. But his one of the things we always talked about because he had a young 2-year-old kid at the time, and
Uh-huh.
Bill was I'm a Republican and I play Dungeons and Dragons, and he would always say, "My little boy, he loves it. I bought him another stuffed animal elephant, and he says, hunt, hunt," and he's just so cute. You ought to see my boy. And
Yeah.
now his son's probably about 96, so he's close to 30. He doesn't know who his dad was.
Oh,
One of these days, if I ever bump into that kid, I'm going to sit him down for a couple beers. Be like, listen, man, I knew your dad. Your dad was a great motherfucker. He was a wonderful individual. We got to talk about him and just explain to him just how it was living with a good guy like that. And then one night getting home and you find out he was murdered. It's like, oh. But
oh, that's terrible.
because of Bill, that's what this guy's going to get called whenever I get him painted up.
Yeah, that's a nice little throne too.
It is.
Like the throne.
This, so I'm going to recommend this movie if you like Dungeons and Dragons, if you're into war games, if you're into Napoleonics. God, the very few of you that do, you keep the hobby alive. Janet saw that tonight for the first time. She's like, she's used to my level of madness with all my figurines, but seeing like 1,000 or so figures on a table, I don't think Janet's seen that yet.
No,
And
but to see all those men, grown adult men, all wanting to paint, sit and use their artistic ability to paint little people or animals or homes, and trees and other things to make their games more appealing to their players. I just think it's awesome. Like me, I make stuff, I crochet, I do a lot of stuff. I do lots of crafting, but it's just nice to see, like, what was it? Mom used to brag about, I think it was name was God, Rosie Greer or something. He did needlepoint. He was a football player or something.
yep.
That she thinks it's nice. She says that men need to know how to do something to release their tension or whatever, besides, what all men think about, but that they need something. They need a release. Golf, football, camping, men need men time. And yours is that. See what you're doing
Mhm.
is your way of releasing tension. Same thing for me. I crochet, I paint, I make paper mache stuff. I make pictures. I do tons of stuff, and I'm always doing something. If I'm not cleaning the house or working in my yard or doing something with my chickens, I'm doing something to pass my time and help keep myself from getting all, irritable or whatever. And I wish more men were able to do that, have something besides sitting and watching television. That's one of the worst things for anyone, a man or a woman, is to sit constantly and watch TV, because you sit there, you eat, and you sleep in your chair, and that's all you do. You're not getting outside, you're not exercising, you're not getting fresh air, you're not getting sunshine, you're not doing any of these things, which is all bad for you. And playing these kind of games, it uses your mind, so it keeps your mind young, but your body's, getting bigger and bigger because you're sitting all the time. So yeah, see, look at that.
This is Peter Cushing, also known as Grand Moff Tarkin, or one of the greatest actors to ever work with Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
He played Little Wars, and he had over 5,000 miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
He would amass over 5,000 individual models, not toys, soldiers, trains, trees, landscapes, horses, castles, historically accurate battle gear, and more, all of which he painted by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, he loved this sort of hobby. And this is the type of guy that, like, certain people won't get it. So they'll be like, why is he playing on the floor with all that stuff? No. There's a game at work here, and you don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
He also
That's
had a
awesome.
very
Look at all those books. You
yeah.
always see a lot of books when you see someone that does paints figurines. You see lots of books in their offices and stuff. They read a lot because they want to know about the battles or the details behind the characters they're going to make. That's one reason why. I think it's great. What movie was it? Wasn't it? It was gosh, I don't remember what movie it was right this second because we've done so many. That one gentleman that was the movie was an actor in the movie. He did miniatures too. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I
It's
remember
okay.
you bringing that up and telling me, oh, he painted miniatures. Can't remember which name it was. I think it was from that movie, um, Logan's Run. I thought it was from that movie.
Oh, I
That
know who
was
you're talking about. And
I
I,
can't remember his name for nothing right now. I just went blank, but I think it was from that movie, and you were telling me about him, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. But it just shows you there's very few people though that actually do it. I mean, I know they make a lot of money, but I think it's mostly because uh, they sell a lot of these already painted to people that want to collect them. But the actual art of painting them and filing them and doing all the work to get them to look like the collectibles that you'd want to buy somewhere.
was it Peter
That's not very
Ustinov?
popular. Was it what?
Peter
Yeah, I
Ustinov,
think
I
it
think.
was. I think it was. Wasn't he in that movie?
Yeah, it
Okay, I
was
think it
Peter.
was him because we were talking about that, and I thought, wow, I didn't know he did that. But that's great. I mean, that to me shows another side of his creativity because only really creative people are into that type of stuff, into crafting and art and sewing. You know, because a person that sews clothes, makes curtains, pillowcases, any of that stuff, that's art basically. It's the same thing to me. I think all of it, crocheting, knitting, scrapbooking, all those things is somebody that's your an artistic talent that you have, a painter.
Hmm. This is
So,
like whenever you hang out with Kai and he's got his massive bookshelf behind him and he's showing you the various books which have all the details that he draws from whenever he does stuff.
mhm. But see, he's
And
using it in an artistic way to do things, to accomplish things. Like when he talks about how he comes up with the whole banking system for a town,
and
because
then
well,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Because you can't have a town that has sells beer and food and lodging and clothing and armor and all this if you have no prices to estimate anything on for the people to spend their money during the game. Why have them get gold and silver and platinum or whatever if they have nothing to buy with it? And how do I buy something with my platinum when I don't have an idea of how much my platinum's worth in this city? You see that type of thing. All that intricate stuff goes together. And like I want to buy something, and you say, well, it's in 5,000 gold. It's going to take me 4 or 5 adventures at least to gather that kind of money to be able to buy that new alluring bracelet or whatever that gives me extra powers, you know. And I think that's good. You have to have things to make you want to be motivated to do something or accomplish things. So I think it's all important. All of it, it's intricate. And that's what I thought was so great about these guys all sitting around a huge table with butcher block paper on it, basically. And they were drawing on it and writing out what they were battle plans and everything and what they were going to do and how they were going to do it and what were they going to use to do the battles and who was going to use the weapons and all that stuff. It's very detailed, a lot more detail than people think about. But only a person that wants to learn about those things will be able to sit there and absorb it and understand what's going on. I mean, my sisters could drag me to a movie, a dumb bimbo movie, with a bunch of girls going, oh, look at that, or whatever. And I could sit there and go, oh my God, I just want to jump off a roof. But someone else could come and
Sorry,
hang out with
sorry.
me, right? They could come sit down by me and I'm trying to explain to them and their eyes are glossing over because they're just like, oh my God, this is the most boring thing ever. So, there's something for everybody. We all have to find our genre and dive in and have fun doing what we enjoy. But see, that's why I don't get mad if my sisters like to go shopping, get their nails painted. I mean, I'm starting to get my nails done. I like it. It makes me feel pretty, but I don't want to go shopping all day just to find a nail color or something stupid like that. I'm just not into it that much. But someone else might be, they think it's very important. And I'm not going to knock them because now I don't want them knocking me because I want to, play Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or whatever that weekend. So, you know. But it is interesting how there's so many different games that came from, a few people that did the Napoleonic games, the war games.
Mm-hmm.
From that idea, you've got people that can play Star Trek, and you can play vampire games, werewolves, whatever it is that you want to add in there, and someone has written a story around it, you can play it now. I think it's great.
Yeah, this hobby is my addiction. I mean, you mentioned casino earlier, and I'm like, yeah, I know that feeling. I go into a game store with $80. I come out with change.
Yeah.
Change.
I ended up going in and using my credit card, not my cash. It's really bad. So I know that I can't go unless I have someone with me, because they'll talk me out of saying, okay, you buy one thing and it's up to this amount. But then you're like, which one? Because you can't make up your mind, because there's always something you want. I can't go in one without buying something. That's my kryptonite is I got to buy something. And it's hard to figure out which thing I'm going to get, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. I think all of you guys are the same way, probably, huh?
Yes. A lot of us are about damn near the same.
But see, we laugh at people that can go into a shopping mall and come out with bags of stuff, right? But we're no different. We're just in the wrong mall. You see what I mean?
That's completely it. I wasn't anywhere I wanted to be, to buy something new. However, I went to this game store, and now I've got like, I need a truck to transport the model pirate ship home, and my Civic's too small. I'll crush the box when I close the lid of the trunk. No, I that's exactly what would happen, Bruce.
And when you're going to move, when you're ready to move, you're going to have to box up all that stuff just so you can get it moved. I remember when
there are cases available.
Yeah, but I remember when Gary from Nerd Rock was going to move, and he was like, "Yeah, I got a box up all." And his walls are covered, and everything. A lot of us have a lot of stuff, and I don't want to. I'm gonna do whatever I can to do, not have it in boxes in my garage. Like in my dining room, I have a corner shelf, and on top is a big popcorn making machine. So I can have movie popcorn, and then underneath it's all collectible shit, all kinds of stuff. I got under there, and I go in there once a month and I dust everything. And then every so often I go get the goblet out or something to use for a show or a prop or whatever. But it's just a lot of collectibles. I got a complete series of glasses from McDonald's for Star Trek. And I've got, all this different shit, because I don't know why. I just wanted it really bad. So I collected them. And this whole room behind me is filled with tons of stuff that other people would say, God, you got a lot of crap. But to me, it's not crap. It's stuff I love. I want to hold it and look at it. So I can't help it. I'm addicted. So I try not to make fun of other people, because I know everybody has something they want to keep. Even my microphone thing here, see, it's got all these little collectibles on there. He-Man. I got earrings from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I got spaceships. I've got goats, and I got these earrings that look like Dungeons and Dragon, dice that you can roll. I just got tons of stuff, but I can't help it. I want it, and I see it, and I want to buy it because it makes me happy to have it. I don't know why. It didn't cost a lot of money, because I'm lucky enough that I haven't, went somewhere and said, I want to have that so bad I'm putting it on my credit card. I haven't done that yet, but I have thought about it. So I can't say that other people have, don't have the right to think about it too, because that's not right. But I think the most expensive thing I've bought is this computer. Because I talked to you, remember, beforehand, and I'm like, which one's the best ones? Because I was talking to a bunch of people, and they're saying, oh, this is a really good system. You should try that. And I haven't had any.
That system you have there should keep you for 7 years.
But the only problem I have is I live in Hillbillyville and have shitty internet. So I got a really good setup, but it's got bad And I like this. I like that I've changed my lights a few times, but I hung just some black curtains I got at the thrift store on a curved shower curtain rod so I can roll my chair around and stuff in it, not be flat behind me, whatever. So, I'm just doing what I do, but I like it. And I don't have a problem with spending money on something if you're going to use it and if it makes you happy and you're not doing without because of it. You know what I mean? If you're taking something and buying it, but you're not paying your bills or you're not taking care of your family and something like that, then then you got a problem. You're going in way over your head. Shouldn't do that. But if it makes you feel good and it's not hurting anything, I'm not going to gripe at you for doing it because I think you should play with it as long as you can because we don't know how long we have left.
We really don't. That sucks. Sadly, this week I didn't see who else had passed, but I saw that Flaherty had died. And he was in that movie we watched last week for Used Cars, and I thought that was unexpected. But he was 82 years old, and I guess, holy shit,
that's a good life. I hope
Yeah,
I can make it past 80.
he did pretty damn good. I was very, very surprised. I wasn't expecting him to pass. That's all I'm going to say, because like he seemed like he was in relatively good health, and he was. He lived to 82. I should not be besmirching that, but it's like, dang it, that sucks.
Yeah, it's funny because you don't really think about a lot of things until we watch a TV show or read a book or watch a documentary like we did today, and then you realize that wow, that this person's not around anymore. They're not going to make any more movies, or they're not going to sing any more songs, like Tina Turner passing away, things like that. And especially someone that actually you knew who they were. My mom was talk about all these people that were passing away, and I'm like, oh, that's terrible, but I didn't know who they were, so I didn't really think about it in the same way you do when it's someone or someone you really liked. Like when Prince died, I thought that was horrible because I liked Prince, and I even went to see him in some of his concerts because I just thought Prince was a genius, and he wrote many, many songs for other people, and he was just very talented. And it's sad to lose people, especially when they're younger and they're not, dying of old age or whatever. So that's sad. But yeah, we have lost a lot of actors. Some young Indian actor, he looked at American Indian to me. I didn't recognize his name, but they said he was in a spinoff from Yellowstone. And they found him in the woods near his car. So I don't know what he died from, but he was like in his late 20s, I think. So sad.
I wasn't expecting that, but I guess as we continue on, I mean, that's something that I need to just snuggle with, that idea. Here's some song lyrics. You're an obsession. You're my obsession. Who do you want me to be? Who do you play with me? You're an obsession. You're my obsession. Who do you want me to be to make a character with me? Great. That's great.
Who is that? Who sings that? It sounded kind of familiar.
You're my obsession song.
Yeah, why does it sound familiar?
It's Animotion. It's by Holly Knight and Michael DeBarris by the group Animotion. It was number 6 in the US and hit 5 in the UK. You are an obsession. You're my obsession. Who do you want me to be to make you sleep with me? You're an obsession. You're my. It's Animotion. It's just. I have to pull this. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet. Here we go. This group. These people. See all that Aquanet?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the
Yeah,
That's
I knew I heard it somewhere, but I don't really know them. I'm sure I heard them on the radio, but I don't think I ever bought anything
Did
from
you
them.
ever have MTV
Yeah,
in the 80s? Okay.
everyone did. If you had cable.
Between Dire Straits' song "I Want My MTV" and there's another video, The Cars. You might think I'm crazy. You might think I'm foolish. Animotion, the obsession was like in high rotation for a good chunk of time. I remember that song far too well. Uncle George loved that song. I don't know why. I saw the girl that he wanted it to be with. I'm like, really? You want that to be my aunt? Ugh. Anyway, next week, double up. Next week, the movie that we are watching is,
I don't
if
know.
we make it through tomorrow, Amazon Women on the Moon.
Okay, we got to make sure you tell Papa Cotton
Tell
because he's
Papa
been
Cotton.
asking and asking. Yeah.
Amazon Women on the Moon is a movie we're looking at. That's a Joe Dante film. No time for
Yeah,
that.
I haven't seen this movie, so I'm kind of excited about it.
What?
Maybe I'll get to dress up for this one, because I wasn't going to dress up for a documentary. I didn't even know anything about it. You know what I mean? So, I knew you were doing it. I just didn't know anything about it, never heard about it, never knew anything about what these people were going to talk about and stuff. So,
Joe Dante is one of my favorite directors in Hollywood because he hates Hollywood. He fucking despises. He hates, cannot stand, absolutely despises everything Tinseltown. Can't stand it.
hmm.
And if you ever saw the movie Gremlins 2, you'd understand what I just said there, because there's a part of that movie where he just literally wads up the film, and it turns into a Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, Coyote, and Roadrunner cartoon.
Uh-huh.
Where he's like, we're playing by my rules. This movie's not normal. And this is the movie he made, Amazon Women on the Moon. I cannot wait for that.
Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
So someone's asking if I'm going to dress up as one. I'm like, I don't know. If they're half naked, no. But if it's funny,
Oh,
if it's like Wilma Flintstone or something, I can do that. So we'll see. I'll have to wait and see what they look like. I have to come up with it beforehand because I'll have to already be dressed to watch it and then have it on already, since we have to do it right after we watch it. So we'll see.
let's see what Bruce can find here.
Six Nations says we're in for a treat. I'm like, oh my God, is it a good treat or is it going to be one of them kind of treats? But yeah, I'm excited about it because Papa Cotton keeps saying, when you doing it? When you doing it? I go, I don't know. I have to get on Bruce's channel. I haven't really had time to go through all your movies that we have lined up to go. Plus, I have one of my girlfriends who's going to come and watch it in Discord with us when we do Escape from New York. She wants to see it.
It's gonna be.
Why they did that?
This is gonna be great.
Okay,
I can't wait for this.
I'll have to get some movies still so I can try to come up with a costume.
Major's Musings is like, it's a treat. Leave it at that.
Yeah, it's a treat, all right. It looks like it, but it's okay. It doesn't look as bad as that other movie with
Hey, Major's Musings.
With what's his face, some Ghost Rider.
Or you don't want to watch Willy's Wonderland?
So it looks better than that. It
Okay.
looks better. So I think I might enjoy
Griffin doing it.
As long as I laugh a lot. Yeah, I like Griffin Dunn. I loved him in American Werewolf in London. We haven't done that yet, have we?
No.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites.
I love
everybody gives shit to John Landis because of the helicopter accident and
It
Twilight
was
Zone.
sad though.
It was okay, completely sad. Terrible event. I'm sorry for Vic Morrow. I'm sorry for the two Vietnamese young girls. I believe they were Vietnamese. They made certain back then during the press release of the information that they were Vietnamese. Like, I don't know why they didn't say two young girls. No, they have to be like, we have to segregate. No, fuck you. But John Landis was not the only guy on set that night.
Yeah.
Everywhere I've ever worked as an adult, everywhere. They say, listen, if you don't think something's right, if you got a bad feeling in your gut, no, stop. Do not proceed. Fucking take a 5 second, take a 5 minute,
Yeah.
reassess. And if we can still do it safely, let's go for it. If we can't do it safely, we're not doing it. And there's like 70 people there on set. John Landis, as much as he might have been the guy helming this, and he was quote unquote directly responsible, it's everybody's responsibility for safety. Do not give me shit that I like John Landis. There was other people there that could have stood up and been like, "No, dude, fuck this. We can film this tomorrow. We can film this at twilight. Let's do it then."
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see.
No, we have not. It's on the list because Steve Martin and Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
I like.
We've only done one Steve Martin movie so far, haven't we?
The Jerk.
Yeah, I think that's the only one that I can remember. We have done a lot of movies though. We're gonna have to. I go through the list every so often and just look so that I can say, okay, we haven't done this one before. Because sometimes I think it sounds familiar. Maybe we've already done this movie.
Collateral.
Like when you said used cars, when you first talked about it, I thought, have we already done that one? But then when I saw it, I was like, no, we haven't done it yet.
No. And I know I got a little bit too heated there about the John Landis thing. I hate it when people give John Landis shit, and it's like there's 40 other people they could have fucking stopped this situation. They could have stopped it.
That's the same thing like what happened on the set of Rust. You know, the director.
I'm going to say hold on just a second on that, because on the set of Rust, there was only 2 or 3 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but somebody thought it'd be a smart idea for the camera person to hold the camera instead of doing a remote camera, or have a drone hold the camera and then let Alec Baldwin do that shot.
Mm-hmm.
And did nobody think about this? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, there was a whole chain of events that led up to that.
Yeah, and then worse yet was a casual disregard of safety on the entire thing for Rust, because they're playing with firearms. With Twilight Zone, there's a helicopter, so you've got to have helicopter safety.
Think about it. Look at Underworld. That's one movie. Look how many guns were shot in Underworld.
Not a single person died.
Not one person was injured or any, nothing that we can find out. And there's tons of movies like that. What about the Boondock Saints, for Christ's sake? There was a lot of guns in that one too. Nobody, the movie Nobody, or John Wick. I mean, geez, there's guns out the wazoo. So it can be done. A movie can be made and have tons of shooting and real weapons being used, and nobody get hurt because they followed all the rules, which are in place for a reason.
Even blanks can be deadly in the case of John Eric Hexum, which is one of my favorite. When I was a young boy, I wanted to be like that dude because he looked like he was going to be a big star. He was on one of my favorite shows, The Voyagers, which I just took you all back to 1982 with Mooney's, whatever his name is. He's Punky Brewster's older brother. But that was sad. But,
did we do The Voyagers already?
No, that's a TV series, Janet.
Oh, okay. I thought the one with the young boys and they made that thing. It was an orb.
Oh, yeah, we did watch that Voyagers.
Isn't that called Voyagers? Well, he just said Voyagers, so I didn't know whether that was it or not.
What was the one with River Phoenix we watched?
Yeah. So was that the same movie you're talking about, Mage?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Voyagers was a TV series where Punky Brewster's older brother and a very handsome young John Eric Hexum, who made every
in my family. Yeah, Flavey said that was Explorers.
Yep,
so I got it mixed up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. John Eric Hexum died in 82 or 83 or 84, somewhere around there. And he was like every woman's fucking heartthrob. He was gonna take over that center page spread in Tiger Beat from Ralph Macchio. Okay.
Yeah.
He was purchased as the next
big I used to read that magazine.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
How many cans of Alquinette have you killed?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. Not very many, because I wasn't like my sisters. They, I didn't have the Farrah Fawcett bangs and all that shit. They would do. I mean, it would choke up everybody in the house.
The landfill behind Janet's
I was
house.
wearing my hair in a ponytail, and I wore a ball cap. That's what I wore to school. So I was boring.
Gonna make
And
all
some
the
lip gloss
time.
and chapstick, pretty much. That's about it. But I'm like I said, I'm finally getting into wanting to get my nails done and my toenails painted. It took me a long time, but I like it, and I can see why women enjoy it. I wish I'd thought about it sooner, but oh well, just wasn't my thing. So
Yes, this right here. There's a terrible movie called Doom from 2006 or 2004.
I thought it was good. You talking about the one with the rock?
Yeah, I hate that movie.
I
Okay.
loved it. I thought it was great. I liked it.
We're going to have to have Janet sit down and actually play Doom.
Okay. I've played Doom before.
The new Doom.
I'm not very good. But see, I have my own controller right here. Because remember, I played Goat Simulator right here on this computer. So I'm still waiting for someone who wants to play with me. Because there's things I can't finish the game I'm on, because there's things that have to have two people play, and I can't do any of those.
Next time I have a day off, Janet, we'll do that together.
Like a timed thing where you have to run and jump and do certain things, but you have two people have to do it. So one day I'll get to finish the game.
There's a little link in the private chat, Janet.
Yeah. What's that for?
That's for Steam. That's for the big network that me and everybody else has on their PC.
Okay, I opened it, so I'll go back and put it on there.
Just get a login, and what you can do is,
because I have Xbox. I have Xbox Live.
No.
Okay, well, that's the one I signed up for because I thought everybody would be on it.
Everybody that I know uses Steam on a PC because it's a really good way to do multiplayer, and to organize the multiplayer is fantastic on this. To me, it works better than on Xbox or PSN. But one of these days, we'll get on Goat Simulator and we'll stream it, and we'll make ducats. We'll make a lot of ducats.
What's a ducat?
Dollars.
Oh, okay. I was like, that sounds like a dirty word.
Fat ducats.
So yeah. Amazon Women, I'll have to remember that.
Amazon Women on the Moon. Oh, I can't wait for this. Papa Cotton's going to be so happy.
Yeah, he's been asking about a lot.
Voyagers is a time travel TV show with John Eric Hexum, whom my mother and my aunt and my grandmothers, they thought he was a sliced bread male. Best thing ever. And poor guy, he died. He had a blank discharge near his head.
Oh.
And then the outtakes of Doom, they show you with Romanian AKs with blanks, and just how devastating blanks can be. Yeah, it's on the behind the scenes portion of it.
Yeah.
But
I like Carl Urban, so that's one reason why I like the movie.
I like Carl Urban quite a bit. I've never been a fan of The Rock.
Well, me either, but I liked Carl Urban in that movie. I liked him when he was in the Star Trek parts because I thought he did a great job for that one. And I loved him as the Underverse guy from that Chronicles of Riddick. Or was it the second one?
Chronicles of Riddick was the second one.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was it. The one where he's fighting him.
There's never been a movie that
I love him in The Boys. I think he's very attractive. I really like him. I think he's a good actor too.
I mean, Janet, he's only he just turned 50 a couple of years ago.
Oh. And he looks pretty good too, so it's not too bad.
I'm a big fan of Carl
But
Urban.
I think he's married. He's married, but it's good eye candy. Just like guys have eye candy. Why can't a woman? So I think he's attractive. But I really like his stuff. I think he's pretty good. And Walton Goggins, I like Walton Goggins too. I've met him a few times.
Do you know that Carl Urban used to be on Hercules and Xena as Julius Caesar?
Mm-mm.
All right. Now we're getting ready to hit the end of the first season of Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to do a season 1 review of Babylon 5?
Well, I haven't watched all the episodes, so are you gonna have Kai come on and talk about it too?
If Kai is available on a Sunday, absolutely.
Okay, well,
I'm-
ask him, and I'll have to go through the season 1 and see which ones I hadn't seen, and try to go back and watch them real quick. Since I got my weekdays open now, I can sit and watch it here on the computer while I work on a picture, and get
Yes,
caught up
he
with the
also-
episodes I haven't seen yet.
Carl Urban also played Cupid in the Hercules TV show.
I
He
didn't
only
see it.
lived like 10 minutes away from the
I
set.
haven't really watched Carl Urban on anything on television. Everything I've seen him in has been, movies.
He hasn't changed much. He hasn't changed much.
But I loved him in The Boys. Yeah, he's really attractive in The Boys. I love that series. This first season was kick ass.
Did you ever
Did you
see him
see
on? No, I saw the first season, but that's it.
You didn't like it?
Okay. The part about The Boys I liked was every gory scene.
That's it.
That's it. They
I
actually had
like
good
all of
special effects for a lot of it being CGI.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a big fan of them rewriting things and trying to adapt it. That no, fucker. You've got a comic book. That's a perfect storyboard. Use that alone. I don't care. If you're committing to The Boys, you're gonna do it like the comics.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did make a lot of changes from the original comic book.
Yeah,
And I didn't like the way that they actually did with the wife and his son type thing.
yeah, the end of the first season, like that,
Yeah.
that completely pissed me off.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the way they did that part of it, and the fact that she was secretly ran off and had a kid with the Homelander and stuff. To me, I hated all that. But the concept of having them be a bunch of assholes, the actors they got to play the characters that had superpowers, I thought was really good. A lot of people hate Jack. What's his name? Oh shit, I can't remember. Jack Quaid. Yeah, Jack Quaid. A lot of people don't like Jack Quaid's character and the way he portrays it, but I think he's done a pretty good job. So, there's some things I like and some things I don't. So I could be honest about actually, rating it or whatever if we were to do a show on it. But it's I just thought it was very well done considering, they made it more woke, you know what I mean? They wokened it up. But to know that they took that and made it into a series and did as good a job as they did, I was surprised, honestly. Because after watching, what was the other one? The Expanse. I loved The Expanse too. Uh, and I thought they did a great job with it, except as it goes farther into the show, after a few seasons, I just don't understand why it just starts to collapse in on itself. They just get cheaper and cheaper when it comes to the writing or something. I don't know what it is, but they just ruin everything. They just cannot let a good show be a good show for some
With The
reason.
Expanse, I liked it till season 4.
Yeah.
And they brought in one of the girls that was on the first episode of The Boys. The girl that all the kid had at the very end was her hands from like the forearms down.
Yeah.
She got exploded, and by A Train, and
Yeah.
she was on The Expanse, and I liked her character. I think she's adorable physically,
Mhm.
but I went on her. I made a mistake. I Googled her, and I saw her Twitter. And I'm like, nope.
Well, is it Twitter very liberal?
Super liberal.
See, I try not to go to no actor, writer, anyone's, you know, personal, Twitter or Instagram or anything like that, because I don't want to see their point of view when it comes to that, So, but people can do it to me and say, "Oh, I hate her because she does this or she believes in small government or whatever," you know. So, everybody has a right to hate me if they don't want to, if they don't like my politics, that's okay. But I try not to do too much, on my posts and stuff like that. But I am getting more political, but I guess everybody does when it gets close to
I
election, huh?
like there's
So,
the one character from Babylon 5 that I really like is Claudia Christian's Susan Ivanova, which she plays the XO of the ship of the space station on, and she's such a well-rounded, very good, very well realized character. And I got curious about her as a person, so I read and like she's a super survivor of bad alcoholism. Like it about destroyed
yeah,
her career. And so she has a YouTube where she posts stuff occasionally, or she does like some little quick advert. She's also on Cameo, so if you want to send somebody a birthday hello or whatever, you can buy her and she'll sing happy birthday to them. But she seems like she's a fairly nice person. If nothing else, she's willing to do stupid human tricks for mortgage payment. That sort of thing. She seems to be pretty cool. Just don't say, hey, do you want to go out for a drink sometime? Because that's like a this person has you blocked. And I would not doubt if that actually happened. But she seems like she's very level-headed, down to earth, very, very cool human being. Back in the day, I used to not like William Shatner because he was on Saturday Night Live, and that was when I was in middle school.
yeah,
And she went on Saturday Night Live, they had a mock up of a Star Trek convention, and John Lovitz was asking Shatner on there at the convention how many horses he had, and Shatner's like, I think I got 33. And Lovett's like, well, what about the foal that was born on Tuesday? Well, shit, now it's 34, I guess. Great. Oh, that's awesome. Give me my money. And him and his friends are betting money on how many horses Shatner has. And Shatner's looking around at all the guys with Spock ears and outfits from like the 60s. He's
yeah,
like, have you guys ever kissed a girl? Get a life. For some odd reason, 12-year-old Bruce at the time took that kind of personal. Shouldn't have. Like,
yeah.
man, does he
Well,
really hate us?
that's what I said. It has a lot to do with your age. When you are impressionable, depending on what the topic is of what you're going to remember and what you're not, and that you might add to it, that this happened to you personally, or you were there when it happened, things like that. People tend to remember things differently
And,
when you're
and
a
it was
kid.
just a show on Saturday Night Live. That's it. It wasn't
Yeah.
real, Bruce.
Well, the thing is that, Trump was on Saturday Night Live, and, they did that whole thing about what if he was president and
Yeah.
stuff. It's hard to find now because, yeah, it was pretty accurate, the whole thing, the way he was talking and everything. So you just don't know. But, I try not to judge any of them. I really do. Unless they rub it in my face. If they constantly rubbing it in my face, then I start taking offense and I just don't want to watch them. And it's hard for me to go to a movie with them in it and things once they've pushed the wrong buttons. Like a few that I've met in person, I'm like, I'm not going to go to their movies anymore because they suck. Because
And
I've
Jennifer,
seen the side of them that other people haven't.
you've
So
had negative experiences with like Matt
quite a
McConaughey.
few. Yeah, but
Like
I had
Matt
a great
McConaughey came to
experience
mind.
with Robert De Niro. He's super nice to regular people. To me, that shows some character about what they would do in the time of some bad thing happening, what they would do with them. And to me, that shows character, whether their politics are the same as mine or not. It's what's inside and what choices they make is what you should judge someone on. So I try not to judge them because they're dumb, because they don't believe that everybody deserves to keep their own money, things like that. Because they're rich, they don't have to worry about money. So, little things like that I can't hold against them because, maybe they grew up with money and they just don't see it the same way as we do. I didn't grow up with money. So, I agree that people should be able to have more of it in their back pocket if they earned it. But I don't believe in giving money to people that didn't do anything to earn any money. Things like that. To me, that's common sense, but it may not be to someone else. They think that everybody should have the same thing. It doesn't matter if you made $100,000 a year and that person made 20,000, that half of your money should go to them to make it even. See, some people want to think that, but when it comes to their wallet, they don't believe that. That's the thing. That's where I have problems with people, the hypocrites, the ones that think you should stop flying and stop driving a car because you're polluting, but I can fly in my jet because I'm needed. You see, I'm better than you. You're a piece of shit. That kind of person. Oh, I can't stand people like that. They drive me nuts. And I've met many of those people, and I just sit there and just smile, and they'll say shit, and I go, "You bitch," or whatever. Don't say shit. I hate them. I don't want to be in the same room with them.
It's all right.
And there's a bunch of them.
Janet also, just so we are making this aware, Janet would not be considered by Leonardo DiCaprio. She is absolutely over the age of 17, and he's
he likes some young girls.
He wants them barely legal for some odd reason. There's a correlation there. I don't get it. I don't know, but Janet doesn't need Cleon bodyguards. Janet has her own batleth. I'm pretty certain. I could imagine Janet with a batleth.
Maybe I keep something in my bra. Or I just wear poison lips stick like poison ivy. Something like that. You never know.
Well, that'll break some hearts.
Yeah. Remember?
Yep.
She used to put that on and take care of people.
Mm-hmm. There's not a single movie that I've seen with Carl Urban that I wouldn't watch again. Even his lackluster film Pathfinder from 2006, which I wouldn't recommend. 2007, I wouldn't recommend most people watch that. But I liked Pathfinder. I thought it was a fairly interesting movie.
I haven't seen that.
It's interesting. It's about a guy that he gets adopted by Native Americans, and Vikings come, and he shows the Native Americans how to fight the Vikings. It's pretty cool.
Oh, is he a kid? Is he really young?
He's about 30 years old.
Oh, but it shows him as a kid, and then he grows up with the Indians?
I think so.
Something like that. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Sounds like a good movie then. I'll probably have to watch that one.
Well, you'll love it because it's got Clancy Brown in it too.
Yeah, I was so happy this morning for coffee. I got on to X, and I went into a space with Psychic Brian. I really like him. And he was talking about movies and different things like that. And I got to tell everybody about my favorite movie. I felt great. I shared the link, and that one, and Lars and the Real Girl, and Wind River. I shared all three of those movies. The Great Raid, my favorite movie, and I shared the links. So hopefully get some more people to like those movies. But those are three good movies. So I love talking about my favorite movie of all time that I still believe is I just love it. I love the whole thing about it. Everything about that movie is important, especially for Americans. If you're an American, patriotic American, that's a movie you should watch.
I feel you, Mage. I do. I watch the new Trek movies only for the fact that they don't exist in the same timeline as a previous Trek, even if Leonard Nimoy's in them. I like the new Trek movies not for any particular reason. If nothing else, I like the soundtrack. Star Trek Beyond pisses me off. Like, you've got so much talent there, and it's just pissed down. It's pissed out the airlock, and it just that movie pisses me off more than Star Trek Into Darkness pisses off the critical drinker. And I didn't think that was possible.
My whole concept of watching it was when I went and watched Galaxy Quest, okay, everyone was saying it was a spoof from Star Trek, right? And I could see similarities to it, but I didn't look at it that way at all, okay? To me, I go to cons and stuff, and I could see similarities to why people would think that, but that's how I look at the new Star Trek movies. I don't think of them as the same people I think of it as like a parody, like Saturday Night Live, basically, making a show about Star Trek, but it's a spoof of it. I don't know if that makes any sense. That's how I conceive it. Now, when I watched our series that we watched, the Star Trek Continues, that was great because I told you I was like, when the first episode, I was so excited to get to watch it because it was so good. That is Star Trek. There's a huge difference between the two. What are you trying to show us?
Just whatever you did yesterday, it caused me to get a big spike in views.
Is it, which movie was it for?
Um,
Blast from the Past?
Blast from the Past.
Okay, good. Yay. Okay. I'm just sharing it stuff on my different platforms, links to the different stuff. If you haven't seen it, if you missed out, come watch it again. Come watch us talk about it. I try to do that, at least one or two, twice a month. Maybe I should try to do it every week, but because I'm now monetized on TikTok.
You're right. There is no honor. The new Trek sucks compared to the old Trek.
Mm-hmm.
If old Trek would have had the budget, I'm not even talking about the Next Generation, because Next Generation to me is just an abortion of a thought. I can't stand Next Generation. I'm sorry.
It was okay, but it still wasn't Star Trek. The original series is Star Trek to me, period. That's just the way I see it. But everything else, it's like a companion show, or I don't know. I just don't know how else to think about it besides
I look at like for me, Enterprise was good Trek. Original series is good Trek. Deep Space Nine is good Trek. Even though the latter part of season, I think 7 or 6, DS9 is like, but the third and fourth seasons of that were great. Mm-hmm. Next Generation, there's some parts that are really good. I don't like it that much. I hate that cast. Not for any particular liberal actor reason at all. It's just the first 2 seasons were way too much. We're all friendly and we get along well together and we're on a ship and nobody's getting out of their fucking gourd. No, that's bullshit. The Expanse dealt with isolation in space a lot better than Trek does.
I really like The Expanse. I wish that they'd kept it more to the original very first season.
Mm-hmm.
If it would have tried to stick with that, the characters and the source material behind whatever it was they were trying to push, I think it would have been a lot better. But you can tell that each season, different people were brought in to write, different people were brought in for different things, and it slowly changes and it takes away from the core. That's why I love the original Star Trek. It's season after season that they made it, and every single episode, it followed the same concept. And when they made the Star Trek Continues, it was like they took exactly the playbook from the original Star Trek and made the show. You see what I mean?
They actually did better with season of Star Trek Continues than they did season 3 of the original series. Season 3 of the original series kind of made me sad because there's so many times where they had shreds of greatness in the script, but it just kind of fell apart. And that's one of the reasons that contributed to season 3 being a canceled series, season.
That's the sad fact about Hollywood. It's a fact that when a certain person gets into a position as an executive producer, or let's say the director gets a divorce and their wife used to be on the show, or, I'm just saying, different people that are attached to the series, when they have downfall with someone, like the whole spat behind the scenes with Paul Newman's wife. Okay. Just stupid shit like that affects a show, and it's dumb. It should have nothing to do with it, but for some reason they let it. And, we have no control over that. And even the actors in the show have no control over stupid shit like that. So we don't know. I mean, I don't know for sure why one season is worse than another. to me, it just seems like they lower the budget for the writers after each so many seasons because the actors make a bump. They get a bump, and it's always the actors. They make $1 million an episode, like what the ones on The Big Bang Theory. That's what they did. And when you're paying $6 million an episode just for the leads or the main actors, and then you got to scrape and find money to pay all the other people, and that's when it starts to crumble. That's why it starts to fall apart. And what was it like? That's one of the things we found out about in the Boondock Saints was that Sean Patrick Flannery doesn't do that. He's one of the actors that will say, "Hey, I'm willing to work for this amount of money, less, just so we can keep the other stuff going." You just don't have a lot of people that are willing to do that unless they believe in whatever it is that they're wanting to do, on the show. Wasn't it that one, the one movie with the guy from Waterworld? What was his name again?
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, Kevin Costner. That he wanted to make that one movie, Mr. Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he was willing to take a lot less money because he really believed in the script. So you do have that. It's not always, but you do have that. A lot of actors that do that because they see something, they read it, and they're like, "Oh my God, I want to be in this movie, or I want to direct this movie or produce this movie really, really bad, and I'm willing to take, a huge pay cut just so I can see it done." And I wish more of them would do that. If we'd have more actors and producers and directors that are willing to take a big cut in pay to see something come to life, we would have way better quality, I think, when it comes to movies and TV series. But we just have so much greed; they don't want to share, so we get shit. That's just the life until we can get some more people in there, and we can even get a secondary Hollywood, where we can have a couple of people break off and start their own production companies and try to make more family oriented, scary movies and everything. You can go back in time and make movies like they did in the 50s and 60s with that quality of keeping the stuff, the nasty stuff that we don't need to see, because you don't have to see two people screwing in bed. You can just see them in bed kissing, and that's enough. You know what's happening. You don't need all the extra boobies and ass and all the other stuff. Take some of that stuff out and make it more family oriented, and we can start having some good quality movies again and TV shows without having to add all the other stuff, where a whole family can sit down and watch it. Like the guy that made the Bugsy Malone movie, the director. Have good entertainment without all the bullshit. And more people will be able to watch it with their family and bring families back together again. If we can do that, I think we'll be better off. But until then, I don't see Hollywood doing any better than they're doing right now. Honestly.
Well, Janet, we will see you next week on my channel, Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
The big high level game is then.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday we kind of found out some important stuff. I can't wait to see how that turns out with you guys, because it's been I love that campaign. I love that low level game.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. It's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm. You've got some things going on your channel this week. I'm going to post your channel here in the comment section so people can go and.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a few things, but I haven't really made any real decisions yet about anything yet. I'm going to wait till after this stupid eclipse is over with and see what happens. But, I don't think it's going to be like a disaster or anything, but I just can't.
My wife and I are of two minds on this. Go ahead, honey. Enjoy your eclipse, but I just don't want to get involved with it. It's being advertised too much. It's when something gets popular, Bruce scoots out.
Well, the thing everything seemed calm and all right, and then all of a sudden we had the earthquakes. Yeah, all these earthquakes. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's happening." Whatever. So I don't know. It's just stupid. But it's a coincidence. But it's only a small strip of land that goes across, 4 or 5 states and then into Canada, of the actual totality of the eclipse. And you're going to be able to see some here and some over there, but the rest of the world's not going to see it. So why would it be a end of the world scenario when that has happened in many other countries where they had a total eclipse and we didn't? We had partial, nothing didn't end the world. So I just don't understand why people get all, freaked out over it. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny in a way, but oh well, So I'm just not going to town and stuff because there is a lot more people there. I went shopping earlier and got some. I'm out a couple of things like, but I don't have any lettuce. I'm like, oh, I could have swore about lettuce, but apparently I didn't. So now I can't make a salad. So I'm like, that sucks. I'll have to eat some frozen vegetables for another day or two. When all these people leave town, hopefully by Tuesday, they just start clearing out.
So you guys actually have like a lot. I can't tell what we have here in San Antonio because I know the roads are more clogged up and garbage, but it's just.
Well, the little town I'm in, they have like a normal little main street in a little square, like area, town square area, and every single parking spot was full. I mean, every one of them. I was driving around. I was like, I got to park 4 blocks away, but it's because of people coming to town, even though it's a little dry county. They don't have alcohol or anything, so it's like they just want to be here to see the eclipse. You see?
And even last night, it shifted a little bit because now they're saying that here in San Antonio, we're only getting a little bit of it. If we go up to Fredericksburg, that's where the good viewing's at.
What website is that? Because I want to look at for me.
The Gateway Pundit?
Yeah, go up to up above Little Rock and see where it's at, if you don't mind.
Pine Bluff, Hot Springs. Fort Smith is right here. Russellville's right here.
Up above Conway, up in that area where that dot's at. See up a little bit. Yeah, all up in there. So that line is the totality for
that's
that
the total eclipse line.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right in there. So I'm gonna have total darkness. And how long is it supposed to last? Like 3 minutes?
3.
Yeah.
3 minutes. I'm gonna have eclipse fatigue after it's all said and done.
All the zombies are gonna come out of the woods. It was so funny. People were asking me this. This is real life, okay? On X Spaces, whatever. People were saying, "What's going to happen to all the animals?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, all the deer and all that. They're going to look up at the sun, and they're all going to be blind." And I'm like, "Well, most animals don't have a reason to look up. They're not going to be staring at the sun. Eagles, birds. I mean, all over the world, there's been eclipses." And the sun shines every day, and we don't have deer laying in the street and stuff like that are blind from looking at the sun. I don't understand. I just think it's kind of stupid, but funny in a way, if you think about it. The questions that some people come up with, it's like, okay, I guess we have to get glasses and find all the animals in the woods and put them on them or something. I don't know. But it does crack me up that someone would ask that. I'm like, what? For real?
Just on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, they're anticipating 1 million people going to visit.
Our governor said she was doing a state of an emergency, but not because she thinks that, there's going to be an earthquake or anything. She just says that people need to pay extra attention to the people on the roads and stuff because we got mostly little 2-lane roads,
I've been to Arkansas.
So you can't pass, it's a red line or whatever. So you can't pass people because it's 2 lanes. And when you come from a city that's got 6-lane roads and you got these little putt, farmers or whatever, people are going to be, driving very defensively. So I can see why that's why I don't want to drive. I'm just going to stay home because there's just no reason to put myself in that with a bunch of people that, it's like you live in New England. So you're used to driving on icy, snowy roads. And then you come down to the south where they don't have it that much, and you're seeing people all over the road crashing because they got a little tiny bit of ice. I'm like, you turn this way, you do that, you never slam on your brakes. You know how to drive on icy roads. These people don't. So you have total chaos. You come down here and you're like, what the hell is wrong with people? But that's what happens when people aren't used to it. And when these people are not used to all this traffic, it just, especially in the rural areas. And that's where they're at. As you saw where that line was, it's almost all rural. It's not going over Little Rock. Did it say it was going right over Little Rock?
No, it's not going over Little
Yeah,
Rock. It's going over somewhere else.
Yeah.
Else, not with stoplights, not with speed limits.
Yeah, it's going to be 2-lane roads. It's hillbilly roads too, like the hog trail. That's all curvy. It's you drive 20 miles an hour on it basically because it's just hilly and curvy and mountainy. So I don't know. It's just going to be funny to see what happens. The after effect stuff. I want to see how many accidents we have, and I don't know. Dum-dums. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's it. I don't really have much plans. Everything's on the weekend now. My whole schedule is now on the weekend. Saturdays playing DD, Sundays watching the movie, and Sundays doing our little talk about movies, and then Friday night shit show. That's it. But that's all on a weekend. So basically, I don't do anything during the week now. But I'm gonna have to start mowing now. I've been to grass. I got eat up the other day when I went and shut the coop door. So I got to mow. I got to get my lawnmower and get somebody come pick it up, or I can drive it hook up the trailer and take it up to the place and get it serviced so I can start using it. So got to mow 4.5 acres. That's a lot. But glad everybody came to see us, and I hope you had a good time.
Yeah. We look forward to seeing everybody next week with this. We're watching Amazon Women from the Moon. I can't wait. From the studio.
I can't believe somebody made a movie about it, but we'll see. I don't even know anything about it. I'm not going to read anything or look up anything because I want to make sure,
stay virginal.
Yeah. Try to see what happens. But yeah, see you later. Thank you for stopping in.
Be well, everybody. See you on Saturday.